All right, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to #United. This is a special video. It is what's become a tradition now, the annual squad update video. I've got the gaffer, the first team, men's team, of course, Jay Devereaux with me. Big video, Dev. Do you think it's a big video?
Yeah, so could be a long one.
Could be a long one, but it's an important video, isn't it? Because you and I know every day we're talking about who's coming, who's going. But the audience, the fans, are sometimes a little bit in the dark, particularly at this time of the year, aren't they?
Yeah, and obviously players, even through the pre-season, they look like they've gone and maybe haven't, and there's things going on with injuries, unavailability, but also particularly in non-league where it works so differently is that there's just can be sudden movements and there's no transfer window to speak of.
Exactly.
Players are very, very rarely contracted, so therefore it's just about registrations, moving, transferring from club to club. So
there's a lot to talk about, isn't there? I mean, first and foremost, exactly what Dev says, this is just us at this point in time of this year. Next week something could change, a player could leave, a player could come. It never ends in non-league really. But pre-season is now over. We've done out 10 pre-season games, which is why we decided to make this video now. We know a little bit more about the squad. We're entering our first competitive game, which is this Sunday in our new league, of course, the Isthmian North League. Very exciting. Before we crack on, you can see lots of new #merch around you. I've got one of the new leisure wear t-shirts on. The gaffer's got the hoodie on. You've got the home shirt behind him. You've got the women's away shirt behind him as well. #UnitedStore.com is the website where you can get the kits, the training wear, and the leisure wear. Go for it. Enjoy. One more thing before we start, guys. Don't forget, you can become a member of this YouTube channel, and it comes with serious benefits, including live games that you'll see the highlights of at a later date on the YouTube channel for free. Everyone gets them. But if you become a member, you can see some of these games live. We're talking about home first team games for the men and women's team when we can. We're talking about reserve team fixtures. If you consider yourself a big #fan, this is a membership you need. There's links in the description, or if you can see it on the screen, click the join button and there's a video of yours truly explaining it all. Okay, so in this video, we're going to go through our squad. We're going to talk about the players that are remaining with us. We're going to talk about players that have left us. I know there's a few key departures you may have seen online. Do you want us to explain why they've happened? We are going to talk about them. And also we're going to talk about new signings, as well as one that hasn't been announced yet. It's going to be exclusive in this video. Big signing for the tags. We'll reveal that at the end of the video, so stick around. Without further ado, Devs, let's just dive straight into it, mate. Going through the team positionally.
Yep.
Goalkeepers. We ended last season with 3. Jamie Jackson, Anthony Page, Tim Kitman. What's going on there?
Well, I think it was realistically we were never going to take 3 into the season. Obviously, Pagey finished, as our number 1 at the end of last season. Jacko was out injured for the period that we, that we played for, or the majority of it. So it just come down to a decision between the 3 of them. And I had quite early discussions in the close season with Tim, really, that he was 3rd in the reckoning, and it was, I suppose, a case of whether Jacko was going to continue or not.
Yeah.
He kind of uses the phrase "one more year" quite a lot. I think, a bit of a.
He's used that one last year about 8 times.
Yeah, and he's not the only one who's used it as well. So I think there's a bit of a battle going on within the squad for that strap line. But just open with Tim, really. He knew my faults. He wanted to play regularly, but also he's busy with his business. So he was looking for somewhere where he could get that regular football but still grow his business. And so he's gone and signed for a team a couple of levels below where we're playing, but it kind of fits in. It's with someone he knows, who knows his situation. So, fantastic lad. Sorry to see him go, but it's just really part of the evolution of us.
That's the thing, I think, completely natural. First and foremost, Tim Kitman, thank you for your service to the club. That goes with anyone that's left the tag. As a non-league entity, we've had a successful season every time. Theoretically, the last 2 were combined, obviously, to get us that coveted points per game trophy, which we secured. But the other thing is, because we're constantly going up, it's hard to keep players around because the level's changing, people's situation is changing. You mentioned Tim having his own job there. Like, these guys have all got other jobs. Yeah. It all comes into it. So the fact that we've actually kept so many players over the years, I think, is actually credit to you and credit to the players you brought in the first place. So Jacko and Page, we enter the season with. There's no third choice at the moment. We've got reserve team keepers.
No, we've got reserve team goalkeepers. It's two's enough at our level. Well, last year 4 wasn't
We needed
enough,
about 7,
was it?
didn't we?
So, but in terms of having, to go into the season with, we've got a really good 2.
Right, moving on to the defence now. Now, we just talked about Tim Pitman, who's a goalkeeper we, of course, found through the #Academy series, the second series. That's such a great tool for us to find new players. It's happened again with the third series. We've brought in quite a few to join us in pre-season. Defensively, Waldridge, Dorling and Humbles were all in the final 8. They all joined us for pre-season. What's happening with them?
So for start with Byron, Byron's moved on to, he got a couple of opportunities pre-season. I didn't quite feel that he was ready for first team football. Would have liked him to have stayed and maybe come through the reserves, get the opportunities to play there and be part of the squad, but getting his game time in the reserves, or if need be, we would have looked for a dual registration elsewhere. But Byron felt he could get first team football somewhere else, and he's gone to seek that.
Okay, fair enough. Waldridge?
Yeah, we've signed Matt. He's been excellent. Did brilliantly in the academy series, and we really felt that we were confident he would be part of our squad, and he's proved that. His versatility is a huge asset to him and us.
Yeah.
And I expect him to feature heavily for us in the first team this year.
Great. Well done to Matt Waldridge. Someone else we've seen quite a lot of in pre-season, Rowan Dorling, the centre-back. What's the latest with him? Yeah,
Rowan's done really well pre-season. I think it's been a steep learning curve for him in terms of... Rowan's the youngest of this group. I think it's important to remember. And at the stages of their careers, the younger players, 1 year makes a huge difference. Throw that into 2 incomplete seasons. We're talking about Rowan is an 18-year-old lad who has been, for the last 2 seasons, unable to kind of get his development in fully because of COVID. So the fact that he's done as well as he has done is an absolute credit to himself. He's done really, really well. I've signed Rowan. We've got, myself and Joe have got, real big hopes for him in the future. Whether he's quite ready to play in the first team game by game at the moment, we're not quite sure, but it will certainly be around the squad. I've had this conversation with Rowan. It might be that he has to play some games in the reserves, be around, but he will get chances, and when he gets them, it's up to him to take them. But what we won't do is we won't have him just sitting, not getting game time.
Yeah, of course.
If I need to use the dual registration kind of process for not just for Rowan, for any of the younger players that are not getting games, if we have to do that, we will do that. We've got some good contacts at good clubs that might be able to offer them regular football to help their development. Okay,
one to watch for the future then. There's a couple other new additions defensively as well that the fans might be familiar with. Brad Marriott, we brought in at the back end of last season. He played for some of the academy games for the first team, and obviously he's played all the pre-season. Right back / centre back / quite versatile himself.
Yeah, versatile. In that allows us, having Brad allows us to look at the options of being a back 4 or a back 3. So because he can do both. It was somebody that I identified last season, certainly if we were to go up, as someone I'd be interested in. And he was at Hadley. Yeah. So we've come up against him a few times. Always been impressed with him, and he's come in and he's carried on. He's fitted in really well with the group. I think he's going to be a good asset to us. So, Brad's a good signing. I like Brad a lot. Interesting fact, he streams on Twitch as well. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to watch one of Brad Marriott's Twitch streams. Another player who's featured more towards the back end of pre-season for us, might not be that familiar with him at home, guys, but he's come through the reserves, Harry Haysom. What can you tell us about him? Because we've seen him play a fair bit now. So Harry, I think he's a great example for us of the opportunities we're able to provide via the reserves. There's a few of the other boys that, from last year that have been with us pre-season and now part of the squad. But Harry's come through and I don't think it's any secret by now that we've had a bit of a player crisis at times through pre-season because of, the pandemic and other commitments, holidays, where players have been able to take them with their families, work commitments. And that's brought about a chance for Harry because he'd done well with the reserves. Kears was speaking very highly of him, and he's come in and he's been absolutely brilliant. Another young player had a good youth career. I think was it part of the academy process, not our academy, the Football League academy. He went through that system, was released, and I think lost his way a little bit. Maybe got a little bit disheartened, disillusioned with things, and dropped away a little bit. Been playing step 7 football for the last couple of years, but there's a player in there. He's done really, really well. We've signed him. Similar to speaking about Rowan, really, is that I expect him to be in and around the first team squad. If not a regular, then we'll definitely get chances. Similar to Rowan, when we look at that position within our squad, it's experience, but the guys are towards the latter end of their careers.
Yeah.
So it really is about us preparing for moving forward and being able to give them, key game time against good opposition pre-season has been really beneficial for them and us.
Definitely, and that's really useful. It's obviously a centre-back, Harry Haysom. Before we get on to the players that are staying with us, well, these players are staying with us, but they're in a slightly different position. There's a load of centre-backs I want to talk about that not necessarily going to be available. Starting off with Farai Singano. Now, obviously, Farai, stalwart of the club since we went into non-league, fan favourite, player favourite, one of my favourites. People wouldn't have seen him playing for a while. They would have seen him off the pitch, but he's had a significant injury. Farai, we're unlikely to see this season, unfortunately. He's got a serious injury. It's his ACL, so anterior cruciate ligament injury, which we know are season finishes. He requires surgery that he's having soon. I think he's having within the next few weeks, and then it's the tough road to recovery for him in terms of rehabilitation. But he is a huge loss to us. Has been a huge loss, not just on the pitch but off the pitch, because Faz is one of those really well balanced, likeable characters that everybody responds well to, and you really notice when they're not part of the changing room. Yeah.
These guys, it's a big blow to lose. Not just on match day, but training nights. And obviously he's about, but it's not quite the same because he's sitting in the stands, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
and Faz was one of those players that even when I first saw him play and he came in the Thurlow Nunn League, I felt like if we achieved what we wanted to achieve as a team, he could stay with us for a few levels. He seemed good enough, and I think he would be. But we have to wait a while, aren't we?
Yeah, but he'll be back because he's got that mindset and determination. He'll be back, but I don't think we'll see him this season.
No, he's got an operation scheduled soon. ACL injuries are just a unfortunate thing that pop up a lot in football, and we're no stranger to them, because another player that had one a couple of years ago is obviously club captain Jack Harrison, who had more or less 2 years off now.
Yeah.
And he actually has shown up at pre-season. I think he's played a game for the reserves. What's the latest with him? Are we going to see a comeback? Is it likely?
He's hopefully. We still. I've had a conversation with Jack just yesterday about this. This is a great example of the other things we and the players have to contend with. As you know, Jack's got a young family.
Yeah.
He's going through a house move at the moment, which is a refurb as well as, it's a house build. He's having issues with that. So there's all that going on, as well as his fitness.
He also lives a couple of hours away.
He lives a fair distance away. I think it's, it wouldn't be unfair to talk about him being towards the end of his career in terms of his playing age as well.
He's 36 now, Jack.
So, so any kind of comeback will be huge for him, but he's determined to not go out on that injury. I think we will definitely see him in the reserves this season. I've said to Jack, look, I have to plan without you.
Yeah.
If you get to the level of fitness, then brilliant. That will be a bonus if he gets to the level. But then again, last time Jack played for us, we were 2 divisions below as well.
Yeah.
So there's all those things to contend with. But we will see him in a hashtag shirt this season for sure,
That's great to hear.
I think is, regardless of whether it's for the first team or the reserves, I think that's big news for us.
It is big news. We love Jack, and he's one of the few people sort of still going from the very first game, which is amazing. Another centre-back who you guys won't have seen play much, but has actually been with the club now for well over 18 months, I think. And if you're in the club, he's a massive part of the club. But if you're just a viewer on YouTube, you might not have seen him because of the COVID situation. Is Ryan Cosson. So came in as a centre-back just as we had the first null and void decision, was getting ready to play in that second season, suffered a bad hamstring injury that actually is quite severe to the point of needing surgery, and he's just not looking like he's going to play anytime soon.
No. the frustrating thing with that injury was that he didn't have surgery based on medical advice, and it appears that he probably should have done. So really feel for Ryan, but Ryan's made huge contributions to the club in around the youth section in terms of coaching. So he's still a big part of the club, and it's just really frustrating and disappointing that he's been with us all this time and not actually got to play in a competitive game. We had some close season, when the lockdown was lifted and we were allowed to play, we had some kind of behind closed doors friendlies just so the players could get a run out, basically. And Ryan tried to play in a couple of those, but just wasn't right. And he's made the decision to have surgery. Not sure when that will be. But we won't see him for the foreseeable.
No, okay. Let's talk about some of the retained players. We know, because what I like the idea of, guys, is we slowly reveal our squad for this season too. Almost at home, you can be making your best 11, in your opinion, for hashtag. Put it in the comments if you want. You know who our goalkeepers are. You mentioned some about our new defenders. Talking about defenders that are sticking around. Ryan O'Rourke, first full season, hopefully, with the club. Obviously, joined us halfway through last season. Happy with that? Yeah,
Ryan brings great experience to us. Has actually been a manager previously as well. So, Ryan signed again. So, looking forward to working with him again.
And you talk about experience. We can reveal Simon Peddy's given it. Is it one more year for him as well?
One more year for the umpteenth time. Yeah, him and Jacko are in a bit of a battle for that that phrase.
Who's going to go first?
Yeah, Ped's just seems to get younger.
Is he still your favourite?
Will always be.
Okay. So Peddy's just two centre backs there. Obviously, Ryan O'Rourke and Peddy. Peddy can play a number of positions. Left back Reece Hewitt.
Yeah, Reece is with us, which is great. He's had a pre-season interrupted by injuries and isolation. He's currently having to isolate as we speak, which is a reminder to us that we're still having to live with this.
Yeah. And that could go on all season, right?
And it will do. It's hampered us pre-season. I'm sure. 1 minute I look at the squad and I've got too many players, and then 2 days later we're struggling to field, get a 16-man squad together. So, but no, Reece is with us. Hopefully he'll get over this isolation period will allow him to rest and get over the niggles that he's got.
Another player that joined us last season, Danny Smith, still with us?
Yeah. Smudger's still with us. Another player whose contribution is more than what he just provides on the pitch. Brilliant for the changing room, brilliant for the group. Has the experience of the level as well.
Can you confirm what the Gaffer's official stance on who Smudger is? Is it Danny Smith? Is it George Smith? They battle about this every week. Who is the real Smudger?
Well, I don't really care. Everyone with a surname Smith is called Smudger. To me. But, Danny Smith was a smudger before George Smith was a smudger, I would guess.
Yeah, very true. Okay, just to finish off the defence then, a couple more players. Jamie Hersett, Sam Biles, Nate Joseph, who's another player that came from the reserves last year. What's happening with those three?
Jamie's still with us. He's had injury problems, so he's still some way off of being fit. He's working at that, but has also changed his profession. Fairly recently, so his work commitments have hampered his ability to get to the level of fitness he needs to be. So he's juggling those things, but he's still an important part of the squad, a popular member of the squad, another one who really contributes, not just on a match day, but, training days and anything we get involved with as a squad. So, Jay's still with us.
Jamie's around. Sam Biles?
Sam's not been with us. He's not gone anywhere, but he's not done any pre-season because Sam is due to run the London Marathon in October. Mm-hmm. It's something that's kind of been on his bucket list, if you like, and it's not just a case of him taking part, but he's training really hard to get a good time, and it's something he's taken very seriously and his priority. So we just agreed with Sam that once that was out of the way, we would speak and see where we were at.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Nate Joseph, what's happening for him? He played quite a lot last year.
He did, yeah. Another one, come through the reserves last year. The success story of the reserves last year, if you like, in terms of first team appearances. Nate has moved on because of personal reasons. So Nate won't be with us
but another part of our ultimately promotion-winning team. So we do thank Nate for his
absolutely,
service.
and we wish him well. I don't think he's playing anywhere else at the moment, but should he return, then of course we wish him well.
Okay, great. With one more player to talk about in defence, which is another one of our departures. We announced this at the same time we announced a few other players about a month or so ago. One of my favourite players, I have to admit, when he's playing for the club, particularly that impactful session he had, that sort of 2-month period when he first joined us as a midfielder 2 seasons ago, then dropped back into centre-back. Player we're talking about is Tom Anderson, no longer with us.
A difficult one, really. Sometimes you just have to make really, really tough decisions, and this is one of those. I just felt that we needed to move on from each other, not for football reasons. I felt like Tommy was probably losing his enthusiasm for the game, or certainly with us, and particularly tough. I've known Tom since he was like 13, 14 years old. So he's someone I'm very, very fond of. I know his dad well. But I felt that for the good of the group, that I had to make a really tough decision, really, because Tommy wasn't engaging in a lot of the stuff that we were doing. Sometimes decisions you make are tough ones, and then not. They don't, on the face of things, make great sense. But there are reasons behind it. Nothing untoward. I've got to stress, not done anything wrong at all.
Everyone's
Tommy.
still on good terms and everything.
No, but I felt like Tommy, if you like, was maybe falling out of love with the game a little. I think in conversations with him, he probably felt the same way. And I felt that it would be best for him if we were to part as well as us, because it would allow us to move on. And actually, I think it's probably acted as a little bit of a jolt to him, to make him realise, actually, I think it's maybe helped him refocus.
Yeah.
And I think we'll probably be seeing him coming up against him.
Yeah.
He'll definitely play at the level that, we're at.
He dropped out at this level to play for us, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think he will go back to that level. In fact, I know because he's signed for another club in our league. So I just wish him. I'm just pleased that he's still playing.
Yeah.
And that he's decided to carry on
playing.
It'd
be an absolute shame if he stopped his age.
My conversations with him were, I think it was questionable as to whether he'd actually continue playing football.
Yeah.
So whilst we won't benefit from it, sadly, and it is a sad situation for me, at least he's still playing.
Exactly. And once again, cannot stress enough the role Tom Anderson did play in those 2 unfinished seasons that ultimately got us promoted. Goal a game he was averaging at centre mid when he came in. Yeah. And then last year, massive centre back addition in Farai's absence.
And moving into a new position at centre back, and arguably it was definitely one of our players of the season for the period that we played. Yeah.
Okay, well, all the best to Tom Anderson. We're going to move on to midfield now, okay? These sort of like deeper midfield positions, and we're putting all the attacking players in the forward category. Well, let's look at the academy again. We brought in the runner-up for pre-season, Yoni Vukac. He's featured a fair bit, also got an injury at the moment. Is he sticking around?
Yeah, I've signed Yoni.
Vukac signs.
Disappointing that he's injured. He's got a shoulder injury that's going to rule him out for the start of the season. And that, that's going to make things tough for him to get back in, but he's definitely got the ability. Yeah. It's up to him now to get over his injury and fight his way back in.
So Yoni's in. Carlos Flood is a player who played for our reserves last year. Then was in part of the academy process, had to pull out through an injury, but he has featured and done some pretty impressive stuff in pre-season. Has he signed?
Yes. So Carlos is a brilliant example of playing for the reserves, but also going out to get experience of senior football. He went out to Bishop Stortford Swifts, who gave him game time that he really benefited from. So we're thankful to them for giving him that opportunity. We allowed the reserve team players that hadn't featured in the first team to enter the academy because we thought it would be unfair to exclude them. And he entered and then got injured. So he's done really well to come back from that injury. He's featured pre-season. He's shown real signs of promise.
What a great goal, didn't he, against Redbridge?
Yeah.
Can we insert that here? inserted it for you. That's Carlos Flood.
And had some really bright moments as well. Still lots to work on for him in terms of improving. But yeah, we've signed him, another one that will either play for us, or if not, we'll ensure that he makes a step up from where he was last year to get more experience if he needs to. But I'm certainly not being short of offers for Carlos to get game time elsewhere should we need him to do that. But he won't be playing regular reserve team football for us because he's made that
kicked
step.
On. Yeah. So another academy player. This is a test for the super fans out there, but not from Series 3, from Series 2, who, much like the winner of the series, Jake Lindsay, really kicked on in those last few years, has come back to the club and he's kicked on for me. I've been really impressed with him. Joe DeBell. Yeah,
Joe's come in and done brilliantly. He actually came back via Joe Gregory because he played youth football with Joe. So Joe mentioned to me that he had left his old club and was looking for somewhere and was asking if he could come in. So invited him in, largely based on remembering him from the first series.
I think he was a right back in that though.
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah. And out of interest, interesting to see how he'd progressed. And he's gone away, he's grown and developed and got experience of playing, and I think he's been excellent pre-season. So we've signed Joe.
Great.
He'll add real strong competition to that area in midfield.
Joe's a tough tackling, tall, Marouane Fellaini-like centre midfielder.
Competitive, really good in the air, and a good lad to have about as well. Good character.
And completes one half of the first ever brother and sister pair to play for Hashtag, because Molly DeBell has played for Hashtag United women's teams. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's talk about retained players. Skipper Ross Gleed, he stays?
Yeah, Gleedy stays. He'll be captain again.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that, obviously, because Gleedy keeps the armband. Yeah. Big fan of that. He's on pens? Who's on pens? Is that your decision?
It is my decision.
Are you going to decide, or are you going to let them decide?
We'll negotiate with the players, but there's 2 or 3, in which Gleed is one of those that we're confident with taking the penalties. Yeah,
Ross Gleed's obviously been with us for 3 seasons, or going into his 4th season with the club now, which is epic. Chris Newby joined us at the same time Tom Anderson did, coming into our first season in Essex Senior League. Again, massive part of our promotion push. He stays?
Yeah, Noob stays. He's had some injury concerns over pre-season. And hopefully he'll be fit for Sunday, but we're not sure yet. It's a bit touch and go, but he's come back and shown signs of the old Noobs.
Nice.
That I know. He's rolled back the years a little bit on some of his performances, but
he's got a great goal, didn't he, against Binfield, left foot. Oh,
yeah,
insert it.
Another one of those players, brings the experience, but he's to the further end of their career, and so I've been really quite keen to inject some youth into the squad.
Yeah.
So to balance out, so we've got experience without being an ageing squad.
Exactly. Player we haven't seen much of in pre-season. He got injured in the 7-a-side tournament we did. Lee Hursit, obviously been with us for quite some time now. Is he sticking around?
Yeah, Lee's still with us. Obviously got injured, dislocated his kneecap, which set him back. He's then had a period where he's not been available for a couple of weeks for personal reasons. So that's obviously put him on the back foot in terms of where he's at in terms of preparation. But I expect Lee to prove his fitness and get back in and amongst things. He's definitely got the quality. He's definitely one of the players that when making the transition from the promotions we looked at as still young lad that still
grow
got
with us,
potential to get even better and go. You mentioned about Faz going on that progression with us. Lee was one as well, but pre-season's kind of set that back a little bit. But it's up to Lee to kind of prove his fitness and push for his place.
So another person that joined us last season in a reserve team management role, but has obviously ended up playing quite a few times for the first team and in pre-season as well. Kiernan Hughes-Mason, still with us.
Yeah, still with us. Still the reserve team manager. Still running the reserves with Paul Prosser. When Kiers came, he was looking to make the transition because he had fallen out of love with playing a little bit, and there was always the agreement that, you know, if we need to use you, would you be available? And it was kind of a yeah. And we started off pre-season, you know, in that vein as well, with him taking the reserves. The situation we've had where we've not having enough players meant that we needed to use him for the first team. He's been absolutely brilliant, to the point where his performances make you think, you know, he's got to play, certainly at the moment. So I've had conversation with Kiers about how we will manage that, because I don't want to take him away from his reserve role, because that's where he sees his longer term future. But certainly we're looking at ways where we can balance that out so he's still able to play in the first team when I need him.
Yeah.
But also, you know, on the basis of merit.
Yeah.
Not just, we're struggling. The good thing about our reserves is a lot of their games are on Friday nights, so don't clash with Saturdays. But yeah, Kiers, and he's another one. His versatility, he can play anywhere. He's still, you know, he's got that experience, and he's played at a higher level. And we said when he came in, you know, he's still capable of playing levels above where we were last season, and that's still the case. And he's found his enthusiasm for playing again. I think it shows.
I think that's something that we've done with a few players, to be honest, that the environment that you've been able to create and we all sustain a hashtag has allowed other people who maybe lost a little bit of joy from the game to find it. So that's great that Kiers is staying. One name we haven't mentioned, which I know the audience will be waiting for me to say, the initials JWL, Jesse Waller Lassen. Devs, can you reveal, does he stay?
Yes, Jesse's staying.
He stays!
Yeah, Jesse's with us, looking for him to carry on from last year. It's obviously great news to retain Jesse for another season.
Been active in pre-season, scored a free kick against Basingstoke. He's had a few goals, few assists, you know, getting back to the Jesse Wallace ways, which we all love. Okay, so that's the midfield in terms of new signings and retained players. There's a few others to talk about. Samraj Gill has moved on as well. Can we talk about that a bit?
Yeah, again, similar. Once we knew the season was over last year, I had a conversation with Sammy. He didn't get as much opportunity to play last season as he would have liked, or I would have liked to have given him, just because of the competition and how well other people were doing. And I just had to be honest with Sammy and, you know, say that I couldn't tell him if that situation was going to change. If he wanted the guarantee of regular football, I wasn't able to offer that. I think had we not locked down when we did, he may have moved on last season because we'd had those discussions. But he stayed once we locked down for a little while to see how things would be when we come out. But we had early conversations, and Sammy, I think, has gone back to his old club, West Essex, and he's another huge miss. You know, certainly as a person.
Lovely man.
Really is. Can't speak highly enough of Sam Raj and the way he conducts himself all of the time, you know, whether it's football or away from football. And we wish him really well.
Really
and
do.
Thank him for everything he's done.
Of course, again, played a big role in our Essex Senior League campaigns. And I think, like I mentioned before, it's the nature of the beast when you're going up through the leagues. There's going to be players that come along and they spend a little bit of time with you. But what a time it was. He had some great moments. Fans loved him. We all loved him. And like I say, you might not know how long you're going to be at a club. Something you always say about, you know, don't burn any bridges and whatnot. But he's carried himself in such a great way when he's been with us that, you know, we just think so much of him. So we do wish him the best. And I definitely look forward to seeing him if I get a chance to go and watch him play for West Essex. I'm a big fan of his. Okay, we're going to go to the forward section now, which is like the strikers and the attacking wingers. Reminder, do not leave this video because we still have to announce a new signing, which we're going to do at the end of the video later on. Okay. We're counting Jake Lindsay in the forward section. Obviously, he's like an attacking winger, can play a number of positions. The winner of the hashtag Academy. We know he's signed because he won the contract. How's his pre-season been?
Even better than I hoped, I think. We had high hopes for Jake, obviously, you know, making him the winner. And he's just one of those players that things seem to happen around. The scary thing is he's still got so much improving to do as well in terms of his know-how and his awareness. I think he's initially found the step up quite significant in terms of the pace of the game, particularly when we played the higher opposition. but he's getting to grips with that, and he's been excellent. He's still got a lot of hard work to do, but been really pleased with Jake.
I'm really a big fan of his, and I really like his attitude. I mean, you'll know more than me, but I always remember that when we watched the Champions League final after he just won the series, within about an hour, he asked me, "What can I do to improve? What's your thoughts?" And I sort of said, "You're asking the wrong person." First of all.
Yeah.
But then I said, but I also just thought, that's not normal necessarily. A lot of boys wouldn't be like that. They just won a contract, they won some money, they'd be getting a few drinks in. He wasn't doing any of that. He just wanted to ask what he can do to be better.
And that's true. But that also goes for the other younger lads that we've brought in. Have been a real shot in the arm for me and Joe in particular to be working with them, and their enthusiasm for the game and their willingness to learn and improve has been like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that's not criticism of the older players. It's kind of a natural thing. But that youthful enthusiasm that's
it's something we're
looking forward to.
We did it deliberately though, didn't we? We knew that the squad average age needed to come down a little bit, and this is a happy byproduct of that, I think, and gives everyone that taste for it. Okay, one other player we haven't discussed for a while because we haven't seen him play for a while. Albie Keith, been with us for a while, but he's got some injury issues.
Yeah, it's a tough one with Albie. He's got a bit of a I don't know if mystery is the right word, but he's got some issues with his knee, and it's impossible for him to do any real kind of running without being in severe pain with it. He's had second, third opinions on it. He's tried different kinds of, exercises. Obviously, the nature of Albie's play as well is he gets kicked a fair bit as well. So, we're hopeful, but we just don't know when. The longer it's going on, obviously, the further away he gets from fitness. So, we're not sure. Albie's not fit at the moment. He's signed. He's still an important part of our club. He's still an important part of the squad, and we hope he's back sooner rather than later. But it's not something we can put a timescale on.
No, the Keith family, a big part of hashtag. Obviously, his Uncle Joe. You've got Mange, his stepmom, who's a massive part of the club. If you ever come to a home game, you'll see her on the gate. One thing I have seen Albie Keith a lot in recently is on the app Duolingo. I'm trying to catch him in Spanish, but he plays a lot, this kid. I mean, this time I see him, I'm going to have to talk to him in Spanish. He must be fluent at this point. He's got so many points.
That's why he's not training.
There you go. Triple H, Harry Honesty, going into his 4th season with the club, one of the first players you brought in as manager, could become a leading appearance maker for the Tags this year. Excited to have him signed on for another year?
Yeah, that puts me off a little bit.
There's love-hate relationship. I'm not sure where the love is, though.
We'll have to listen to him go on about it. Now, H has signed again. Big character, as we all know. Had an excellent season last season after, I think, we actually spoke about it last year, that he'd had a disappointing year the year before. But his reaction to competition last year was what pleased me. And just showed what he was capable of, and he stays with us. Well,
we've talked about Harry. We've got to talk about one of the other wingers that the honest answer is we don't know if we're going to see him again because he's still, as we record this, on Love Island. In fact, he might even win it, I didn't think this in the first few weeks, but I think he's changing people's opinions. Toby O'Mallaren, we said when we made a video with him, which is available for members only. If you're a member, you can watch it on the channel. Do we think he's going to come back? And he made it very clear he wants to come back. He wants to play for us. We know there's going to be a lot of opportunities for him, particularly with how long he stayed in there. But where do you stand on all this?
We'll see him when we see him.
Yeah.
It's that situation where I have to play him without him, and if he comes back, then it's a bonus. As you say, he's put himself in a position where I think he's not going to be short of offers to be doing other stuff with his career, which ultimately, will have to take priority because it's about his livelihood rather than just, this isn't his profession, whereas he may get opportunities that become his profession.
He's already put on a couple 100,000 followers on Instagram. We may have to face a difficult conundrum soon, Devs. We've never had to deal with this before. Can my ego live with us having a player with more Instagram followers than me? It could happen. We're going to find out.
Don't know. It's a question for you, really, isn't it?
My ego can definitely live with it. I've tried to sign players.
My ego's having to deal with it all the time.
I've tried to sign players with more followers than me, and so far failed. But it will happen eventually.
But he'll probably leave now. Now he's bigger than you. What I would say, and Tobes, and I'm not an avid follower of Love Island, but obviously I do tend to stalk all of our players, and Tobes has made that an easier job for me, or ITV have anyway. But he's been himself, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
That kind of.
People are warming to it now. Now
they see it. It's not actually. He's not a sinister person, and it is just naivety, I think. And I would say, stupidity is the word I would use.
It's funny because
normally.
I mean, we don't want to make this a Love Island video, but it's just I think people that play for hashtag tend to be all different kinds of characters, but there's a general sort of line of best fit, which is they're all right people, in my opinion. That's not necessarily always the case in football, I have to say. And that doesn't mean we're immune to having the odd bad egg. No. But I think quite quickly, yourself and I would want to stamp that out. So when people were saying things about Toby, and he did get a bit of abuse online that he wouldn't have seen yet, it was quite hurtful to see because we know he's not that guy. And it's a lesson for all of us, isn't it?
And it absolutely is, because I found myself having to not defend him because I didn't feel like it, but explain that that's not, you've got to take everything with context, haven't you? And it's difficult.
And how we feel about the other contestants.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Okay, so Toby's a maybe, basically. Yeah. Let's go to another new player you brought in pre-season, another signing, Kojo Apenteng. Mm-hmm. What can you tell me about him? Because he's relatively unknown to our fans.
So Kojo approached me via one of the players to see if he could come in pre-season. He's got good pedigree. Was a good age of still being young, but has got a significant amount of playing experience at the level. So it was really just a case of inviting him in to see how things went, and he's done really well. He's been really impressive. He's signed, okay. And I'm excited to see what Kojo can bring, and add to our side, our squad, nice. and a really, really lovely lad as well. Good. Another one that's going to be, he's just a good fit.
Good. Well, it's another attacking option. Two attacking options we had last year who are staying. George Smith, Smudger, we mentioned already. Yep. I think I'm right in saying if he has a really good year in front of a goal this year, theoretically he could become our all-time leading goal scorer at the club, which is a massive ask taking Dan Brown's record. But he's given us another year. Good to have him at the club.
Yeah, he's injured at the moment. Georgia recently had COVID, and I think there's been some knock-on effects of that. And I think that's the other thing we have to remember as well, is when the guy, it's not just about being away for the 2 weeks that they initially are with, but it takes it out of people. And George is an asthmatic as well, so therefore obviously what COVID does in terms of
he's at high risk
effect it has on breathing. So and he's suffered. He's having some back problems, and we think it's potentially kind of a hangover from having COVID. Right. So whether he's fit enough for the weekend, we don't know. But George is with us and still young.
Yes, still
learning, and developing. It'll be a step up for him. So we're excited to see how he copes.
Obviously, in George's absence in pre-season, we've seen a lot of Joe Gregory, who played a fair bit last year as well. Got goals last year in the league below. He's sticking with us.
Yep. Yeah, he said yep. Yeah, and that is most I've heard out of him. He speaks loads now. No, Joe's done well, and I think that it's that blessing in disguise, if you like, in losing George has given Joe that opportunity for a real run of games, and still got some way to go, but it's going in the right direction.
One song many people might have been singing this summer, Southgate, You're the One, You Still Turn Me On, Football's Coming Home Again. We've got our own Southgate, Kieran Southgate, who was in the reserves last year. Also tried to come through the academy process, but got injured, much like Carlos Flood. Has scored some really good goals for the reserves. I don't know if we've got the clip, but if we have, let's insert it.
There's no point getting that close, is there? And then it not going in. Great football being played.
Unbelievable strike!
Sweet Jesus of Nazareth.
Oh my God! What a hit, son!
He's played a lot in pre-season and he's signed?
Yeah, Kieran signed. Again, very similar to the Carlos situation. Went out last year, got senior football at the same club, as Carlos. Has come back for pre-season. I think Kieran has got a little bit of work to do in terms of his fitness levels, and the best we've seen from him of late has been coming off the bench, but he's shown real good impact, and none more so in our most recent game. And he's done really well. So yeah, Kieran I've signed, and I expect him to be in and around the squad as well.
Okay, so we've almost finished. We've got a couple more departures to talk about in the forward section. I know one particularly you guys are waiting for, and then a few other things to talk about, and then the new signing we're going to reveal. Let's start with Sam Bantic. So Sam Bantic has actually been with us, or was with us for 6-7 months, but only actually played 2 games because of the COVID situation. We brought him in December, I think, last year. He has moved on. Can you tell us why? Obviously a striker.
We brought Sam in. We were quite fortunate, really. We got Sam in when we did, because I think the leagues above were shutting down.
Yeah.
And he reached out to us and said he wanted to come somewhere and enjoy his football and kind of not worry about the other pressures that might come with it, and did. And we agreed, for him to stay. We'd agreed a deal for him to stay, but then got an approach from another club in our league. Well, funnily enough, Coggeshall, who we're playing against on Sunday. And Sam spoke to them as, players do when a club approaches them, and agreed terms, They made him an offer which he decided was
made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Yeah, but the best thing for him. And yeah, he goes with our best wishes. Again, it's the same thing. If we're signing players from other clubs, we can't expect to not lose players to other clubs.
Exactly,
it's the way football works.
Yeah.
And we wish Sam all the best.
We do. I think it's worth saying as well. This is the whole thing that's been said about hashtag over the years about other teams accusing us of paying loads of money. Like, we've said it so many times. We've never done that relative to our league. We've always been one of the lesser paying clubs. We're definitely not the highest paying club in this league, and I think this is a great example of it. He's had a better offer financially somewhere, and he's chosen to take it. No issue with him doing that. I've always said that if we're not competing financially with some of the other clubs, we can't expect to keep everyone. But I think it does reinforce the point we've always made, that just because we are the biggest club in the league, haters come for me, we don't necessarily pay the most money. So
you're just making life hard for me, aren't you?
Well, you're not saying it. I can say it.
I'll just have to deal with it.
Yeah. You don't tell me we're not the biggest club in this league. I've said we're the biggest club in Essex, so we're definitely the biggest club in this league.
It's all right. We'll cut it.
Although technically there's a club from Norfolk, I believe. So, so Sam, we wish Sam the best.
We wish Sam the best. Yeah. So it's football. He got an offer. He's accepted it, and it's
And it won't be long till you see him again. We're literally playing him first game of the season. Now, the big one, I think, is going to dominate this video in terms of departures. People have been asking us about it in comments a lot since we announced it on Twitter a few months ago. Joshua Osude, winner of the second Academy Series, is no longer with us. Can you tell us why?
Stop people asking where Dan Brown is, though, isn't
it? The Dan Brown questions are finally over. We love you, Dan.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh has moved on. Again, a difficult one because of how, he was our, academy winner.
Yeah.
And with that comes a status, if you like, within our club and, with our fans. So when I made the decision to part company with Josh, it was always going to be a little bit of a kickback, I suppose, and understandably, because he's eye catcher, isn't he? He's been a huge part of our promotion. Some of the moments he's providing us have been amazing and unbelievable. But as I said, when I was speaking about Tommy earlier, sometimes you have to make decisions that you think, or listen, you make me the manager to make decisions that I think are for the best of the team and the club. And ultimately, that was a decision I felt I had to make without going into unnecessary detail. It wasn't performance related. It wasn't about Josh not being happy with the amount of game time he had. Although that might have been the case, and that's fair. My argument to anybody that says he didn't get enough game time was, well, you can only judge us on the results we had, and we had good results. Managing it the way that we managed it. lots of things go on away from the pitch, away from the training ground, and I made a decision that I felt was for the best, and that will happen again in the future.
Yeah.
We will lose players. Sometimes it will be my decision, sometimes it will be theirs. There'll be players that you think that we can't deal without and can't live without, and there'll be big misses. But actually, we will all carry on. The club will carry on growing. The club will still exist, and that goes for every football club in the world. When they lose a player, they will continue to function. They might struggle. They might not be worse off for a short while, but ultimately, in the long run, players, managers, even owners are only there for a particular period, aren't they? The club outlasts all of those people. So we wish Josh all the best. I hope that Josh learns an important lesson and becomes a better footballer, not just in terms of his ability, but in terms of his approach to the game. Yeah, maybe attitude, and I use that word carefully because it's not. Josh hasn't got a bad attitude, and Josh is a great kid.
Yeah,
Let's get this right. He's someone I'm very fond of. This isn't, but I didn't feel that he was learning.
Yeah.
And he was getting lots of guidance, not just from me, not just from you, but from players and his friends. And I felt maybe sometimes the harshest lesson is the only one that can be used to be successful.
Yeah.
And
only one that he might hear.
Yeah, and we might suffer from that long term, but I don't. By keeping Josh, we wouldn't have been any better off.
Yeah. No.
Because another club might benefit from my decision to let him go, but I don't think we would have benefited from a decision to keep him.
Yeah.
And that was the dilemma I had, and ultimately that was the decision I had to make. And I only make decisions with the best interests of the club at heart. It's never, ever personal.
Exactly right. And I think it's, for me to weigh in here, I think just like Anderson with Osude, as a fan, because I'm a fan of this club, and I can be a bit more of a fan than Devs can be, because I have that step back when I watch. These are two of my favourite players. But these decisions were made with my backing as well. Devs and I spoke about it. Ultimately, I backed the manager. And at the end of the day, why wouldn't I? Look at what's happened since this man joined the club. It's a no-brainer for me. I also have to say about Josh, the academy doesn't necessarily... By winning the academy, you don't necessarily have to stay at the club for 10 years for it to be successful. Look at Scott Pollock. He played for us for only a few months, really, after the academy finished and went on to be a pro. I think Josh really showed how good the academy can be. He came in at a level we'd never played before, did some great things for us, got some experience he hadn't had, gained a bit of a name in the local area, if you like. So much so that after being released by us, he's gone and signed for actually a team a couple levels above, and he's been loaned to a team in our league, Tilbury. So we'll see him again.
And I know for sure he had a lot of offers, beyond what would be normal for a player. And I think those offers,
and no one's taken away from Josh, just like Scott Pollock. Their talent is their talent. But our platform helped them a lot there, so I'm really proud of that. Again, we are going to see him soon. Hopefully, in this Tilbury game coming up, he's going to be playing for them. But for me, that's us doing our job. It's us giving players a platform, particularly young players. Everyone at the club, I think, probably agrees on one thing, is that potential-wise, Josh has the potential to go a lot higher. The question is whether he will meet it. And that's the challenge I set to him if he's watching.
Someone asked me shortly after it became relatively public if I thought he would prove me wrong. And I argued that he couldn't prove me wrong. He could only prove me right, because I felt that if he goes away and is a success, then I'm being proved right, because I don't think we would have got that with us. That's the point we'd got to. But if he goes and is a success with someone else, and there's nothing I want more than to be able to look at Josh playing, in the Football League and say, actually, we helped him along on that journey. As I say, that tough lesson, and it would have been a tough lesson, because I think it comes as a shock to him. Hopefully it will help him.
Okay, we're nearly done. That is our squad more or less complete, apart from this new signing we're going to tell you about. 10 new signings, not including the one we're about to announce. So plenty of players coming in, including the Academy boys. Obviously the departures of Kitman, Anderson, Gill, Osude and Bantic. So it's actually 10 in and 5 out, technically. So you've still got a bit of a squad balance job to do. Before we get on to the new signing, academy boys that we haven't mentioned. Reece Antoine da Costa started pre-season but didn't last long.
He was actually injured, but then he got an offer from another club, and I think Reece looked at the competition within our club and didn't feel that he would play regularly,
right?
Which was, that was fine for him to make that decision.
We could see him again, Holbridge Sports. League.
Took an offer at a good club at our level. Yeah,
Joel Older was in the final 8, but we didn't see.
Joel was invited in, but decided not to come in.
Okay.
I think a similar thing. I think they looked at the competition, which is a fair thing.
Yeah.
I think you've got to remember as well with these guys playing a similar position to the winner.
Yeah, Jake Lindsay. Yeah,
you're going to look at it and think, well, actually, if this guy's won, then he's already ahead of me.
Yeah. Fair enough. Liam Mulligan, bit of a fan favourite in the comments section, has played a fair bit of pre-season with us. What's happening with him?
Liam he's not been available for the last 3 weeks, so he's had family holiday, visiting a relative, having to understandably stay away from. He's tried to reduce contact because he was visiting his nan. I think and he was worried about. 1, becoming ill, so he couldn't go, and obviously 2, her being an age where she would be more vulnerable should there be any issues around COVID. So, perfectly understandable. Unfortunately, it means that he comes back. When he comes back, the season would have started. Competition will be huge, and we'll have to have a conversation then about what opportunities there will be. That a lot can happen. By the time he gets back, we could be, there might be a gaping big Liam Mulligan size hole waiting to be filled, or it could be, congested and he's at the back of the queue just because of circumstance.
Fair enough.
But he's had a very, very good pre-season.
Yeah, he scored a good goal as well, didn't he? Against White Ensign, I believe. Nice finish. Can we insert it? Okay, a few more names I'm going to rattle off. These are all players that were part of the academy process, have joined the club in a reserve team capacity, and obviously are still part of what we're doing here. Sam Blackholly, Ali Alanazi, Kyron Simpson-Cameron, Alex Chuck, Kieran Huddett.
Yeah,
quite a few centre mids in there, a couple of fullbacks.
And all players at the younger end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So probably makes sense for them, career-wise to make that step.
They could play reserve football. They could play for another team potentially.
One of the things myself and Kiers have spoke about is the need for, I want our reserves to be a place that we can confidently dip in and players be ready to come and support the first team and then threaten and push for first team place.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that we quite had that last season. It's something we're
which
aiming
is natural because it was a new side.
Yeah, of course,
overnight.
not even a full season. So, so that's kind of the plan. That's our hope.
Okay, great. Right, we're basically done apart from this brand new exclusive bit of news that no one in the world knows about apart from the player, us, and a few other people at the club, okay? We have made a signing. It's a signing in a position that we'd identified we needed to bring someone in. And the player that has come in is someone that we know fairly well. It's someone that actually has been on my YouTube channel about, 7 years ago when we were doing the East Thurrock stuff. So is that East Thurrock connection? Someone who's played the level, someone who's played fairly significantly higher levels, actually, under your tutelage as well as John Coventry and Joe Keefe at East Thurrock. It's fair to say that this is a name I've probably said to you about 10 times over the last 3 years as to whether we could get him in. And it's never been quite right, has it? Because of the league we've been at or the place we've been at as a club. But going up that level has helped us. And, we've been able to bring in a player who goes by the name of Stevie Sheehan, although he's familiarly known as Nutsy. He's a big centre-back. I mean, you know him more than me. How would you describe him and tell us about how you feel about bringing Nutsy in?
Firstly, I'm really pleased to bring him in, particularly with Tommy going. We needed, I felt, strengthening in the centre-back position. Wasn't quite sure what Rowan would bring coming in. Harry's coming in late as well, young players. And then when we got with Ryan and Peds, they've both had issues last year with being able to play regularly back-to-back games. I mean, obviously, with our home midweek games being on a Monday, it was something I've been really conscious of, that there were times where we were, without either of them, which made things a real struggle. So the opportunity to sign someone who has got a fantastic level of amount of experience for the level, we say, and above, is someone we know really, really well and have worked with, for years, worked with since he was a young player. It was a no-brainer for me to try, and once I was made aware that he might be available to sign, then yeah, it was a no-brainer. I think just describe him. He's a centre half that wants to be a centre half, wants to defend, no nonsense, big, dominant, attacks the ball well, no frills, doesn't try to be something that he's not. But his experience and his know-how and his leadership will be key to us.
Yeah, really happy with this signing. It's not a strategy that you and I have ever sort of agreed on necessarily, but I do really like it when we bring players in from that because ultimately we're going to get to a point where we can't do it anymore. That period of my life when I first started making football content on YouTube, where yourself and obviously my dad being a common link there of East Thurrock allowed me to go and make those videos, and Nutsy was one of my favourite players there. As someone that grew up as a centre back as well, he just epitomised everything I like in the centre back. Exactly what you just said. Big,
heart and sleeve type.
Exactly
player,
Exactly that. And he's also very kind to me in the change rooms. Is this random 20-something-year-old guy being thrown into a room of people I didn't know, and I was trying to film you all of a sudden. And it wasn't like now where the people hashtag know they're being filmed. They know it's going to get loads of views. I didn't have any real subscribers. It was almost like a favour to me, really, that you guys were letting me do it. So, not to say anyone else wasn't nice. They're a great bunch of lads, but Stevie always stood out to me as someone that, in my mind. And so when the opportunity came in, we needed a centre back. It's just I'm really happy with it. Is business done? Is there more business to do? Where are you thinking?
Firstly, I want to say on that, with the signings that we've made, I think a lot of our signings have been kind of under the radar signings, and that's where Nuts' signing is slightly different. I think that will be recognised more widely in the environment that we're in the league we're in the local area, whereas some of the other guys are maybe more unknown quantities that we're really confident in. So that's a good. It's good to bring someone in of that stature. It's important for us.
He's come in from a team who are setting their sights on a title challenge, as many teams in our league are.
Yeah, and they're coming in from a really good side. It's a bit of a coup for us, to bring them in, and so
it shows a lot of bit. I think it shows a lot of faith in hopefully what the project we're building here and what you do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, exactly that, and that's that's what we were hoping, and but no, not finished. Still looking. I think early on we were unable to do our business really early, because we didn't know if we were going to get promoted.
Yeah, of course.
So there's kind of you tend to find there's sweet spots within pre-season period or a league season. One is at the end of a season where you're going to be next year and you can get your business done really early. We had a couple of reasons we couldn't do that. We didn't know what league we were going to be in, and we had the academy guys that we wanted to have a real good look at and give an opportunity to. The next one is towards the end, this period now, towards the end and in the first few weeks of the season that we were entering. So I certainly wasn't going to panic if I didn't feel that we were quite there or quite ready yet. And we're closer to where I want to be now. Maybe one light from where I think we could be really, really strong. I'm not going to give too much away on that now, but it's something I'm working on. If it happens soon, great. If it doesn't, then we've got enough to compete. And we'll just
can I ask you on that, because that's something I think we haven't really said enough to our fans. They've become accustomed now to us being a team that wins a lot more than we don't.
Yeah.
We had 2 promotions, in basically back-to-back promotions. It's going to be a lot tougher this year, and I think it's important to manage expectations, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest parts of my job is to try and manage expectations. We've kind of been on this crest of a wave of winning. We will have tough periods, and it's likely to be this season. We will go, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games without a win. We will have real sticky periods. We'll have struggles. We'll have periods where we might be down there, or we might hit a run where we go 6 wins on the spin, and then it will just come crashing down like that. It's the way football works. So the key is that we don't get too down if we're struggling, and we don't get too excited if we're going well, because over the course of this season, it's going to be a real hard slog with there's some huge clubs in our league.
Yes.
You know, you joke about,
No, of course, I know that, yeah.
But, the likes of Grays and Canvey Island, for example, were National League clubs, won FA trophies, and huge clubs in our area. It's actually a privilege for us to be competing with these teams, these clubs that have been around for years. This is our fourth year. We've had one full season of football,
I know.
and we're in this environment where we're competing with these guys. So I think what I'd say to the people watching, to our supporters, is don't expect, it's this kind of win-win-win to continue.
Yeah.
We will be competitive. We're following a model where we're not pleading poverty when we talk about money, but we've got a slightly different strategy at the moment. This is not about us not having any money as a club, but this is about us building a club.
Yeah.
So it's about building at the right pace. What I do have is I have every faith in the group of players that myself, Joe, and Willow put out.
Yeah.
And I have every faith in us as a management team being able to get the best out of that group of players.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. But we will have tough periods.
No, of course. And I just to echo what you said there, I like to play the whole big club thing. That's talking about our size as a brand and followers and all these things. When it comes to football, people maybe don't know this about me, but you certainly do. Like, I have been in and around non-league for a long time. I've been to Grays, I've been to this club. I've got a lot of respect for them. Yeah. And I have absolutely zero misunderstanding about where we are as a football team. I can say one thing about us as a entity. It doesn't mean I think we're going to go and beat them at football. It's a completely different game. Completely different game. And you have a very tough job in that respect. So, all respect to all the teams. Every year we've been in. We wanted to get to around this level. We felt like we'd start to maybe, the way the club is currently, level out a little bit around this league. We've done the hardest bit, I think, which is get to where I think we should be as a minimum. No disrespect to those other leagues, but we've come through them. The hard work really starts now. And that hard work isn't just for you, isn't just for me, isn't just for the players, it's for the fans. My challenge to you guys is, if you consider yourself a regular #fan, have you been watching these videos for 5+ years, me and the boys playing, into non-league, all these things? Are you one of these guys that watches every game? This is where your supporter, ness is going to be tested. Remember the word supporter, what it means. It means you support the club. It doesn't mean you only sing when you win it. So if we do have any tough times, I say welcome to real life football fandom, people. I've been a West Ham fan all my life, as has Devs. This is what it's like. Now, I'm not saying we're going to do badly, because everything you just said, I have that faith too. But I do look forward to the day when we start to level out, if it is this season, because I will get to see who the real supporters of this club are.
And one thing that does always happen, one thing you can guarantee is it'll be interesting. Because things happen. Things do seem to happen around this football club.
They really do. We are going to end the video there, guys. It's been a long one. Thank you for watching. I think it's been insightful, hopefully, for those who didn't know what's been going on. A few other things to say quickly. Obviously, we've just talked about the men's team here. We do have our women's team as well. And if what we're saying is true, in that our men's team do maybe have not as winning of a season this year, that hopefully won't be the case for the women. That's what's so great about #. We've got so many teams. My goal is that someone wins something every year at # at some level. One of our young teams just won something at St George's Park, a national trophy. Women very much going for promotion this year. Nothing guaranteed, but the other sort of front runners for promotion that were in the league with Ipswich have gone up. So we're in a great spot. We've had some great additions on the women's team as well. So very excited to seeing how they get on. We're going to get as much content around that as possible, including live games if we can. So make sure you become a member if you want to see these live games live. And FA Cup, of course, it's old news now. We've done it before, but we're doing it again. And we love being in the FA Cup. In fact, our first FA Cup game is just over a week away. We had a bye in the first round. We play Ware, who are a team in Hertfordshire, who are the same level as us, different league, away. If you can, guys, get yourself to these games, whether we're home, whether we're away. You never know how long the FA Cup run's going to go. Last year, it was capped at how many people could be in the ground. We were lucky to have the BBC coverage and the Twitch coverage. If you can get to the game, you want to be at that atmosphere. So stay tuned to our socials to see all the details you need about any fixtures. Finally, #UnitedStore.com is where you need to go to get the lovely new Hummel kits, this leisure wear range. All of our training gear is all available. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Thanks to Devs for giving us all your wisdom and sharing everything with us for the last over an hour, I think it's been. Subscribe for more. Until next time, don't forget to hashtag it.